Welcome back to another Music Monday, my friends. This is Front of House, the stereo music podcast that'll blow your freaking doors off, man. My name is Mike Dawson, and I'm happy you could join me today. Today we're going to do part 2 of our awesome interview and performance with Ted Russell Kamp. Ted will be on tour with Shooter Jennings throughout the rest of the summer, on and off, and then hitting Europe for a tour with Guns N' Roses bassist Duff McKagan. Ted is playing bass in Duff's band, while Duff is up front singing and playing acoustic guitar. I hope that wherever you're listening from right now, we find you in good health and great spirits. And whatever you're doing, you're working to make the world a better place, at least musically. And hey, by listening to this, crank it up, let your neighbors hear it, and you will be making the world musically a better place. I also want to ask you to please support us on Patreon at patreon.com/front of house. If you are a basic supporter of Front of House, meaning you are a fan and you only pay $3 a month, every single week you get a brand new mastered MP3 in your inbox. And this week's a bonus week because I found a couple of Ted Russell Kamp songs from this episode that I wanted to send out to you guys. So for those of you paying for it, you're getting an extra song this week. It is already in your inbox. And if you sign up at patreon.com/front of house, even if you sign up late, I'm still going to send you all of the old MP3s so you can catch up. Okay, so just go to patreon.com/front of house. Follow us on Twitter at FOHpod. And if you're not already subscribing to the podcast, please hit the subscribe button and share it with a friend. For me, this is a labor of love. I'm not doing this for the money, but sometimes this stuff costs money. So to offset all of the costs, that'd be great if you could sign up and support us. This season of Front of House dedicated to our dear, dear, dear friend, Jenny Pagliaro. Jenny put up a hell of a battle with cancer. And though she is no longer with us, her music will be with us forever. This beautiful record from Roses and Cigarettes called Echoes in Silence is featured here every single week. We're playing a new track every week from the album. We're on to track number 4. This is the one song on the album that Angela and Jenny did not write. This next song was written by Ray Henderson and Mort Dixon. And it goes beautifully with the theme of this album, Echoes and Silence. Let's take a listen. Crank it up. You're in stereo listening to Front of House from Echoes and Silence. This is Roses and Cigarettes and Bye Bye Blackbird.
Packed up all my cares and woe, feeling low. Here I go, bye, bye, bye.
Roses and Cigarettes from Echoes and Silence, the song called Bye Bye Blackbird. I cannot thoroughly describe the feeling of goosebumps and chills that I get when I listen to this record. It is so damn good. Angela and Jenny have really outdone themselves, and I'm proud to know you. I'm proud to call you friend, and I'm very proud of your music. So pick up the record Echoes and Silence from Roses and Cigarettes. Tune into Front of House every single Monday for a new track off of this record. Again, this season of Front of House is dedicated to the one we miss, Jenny Pagliaro. If you go to rosesandcigarettes.com, you can pick up this album right there. I recommend you do. Anytime you're going to buy music from an artist, it helps if you go directly to their website so that the man at iTunes or the man at Amazon Music doesn't get the money. The woman or women for Roses and Cigarettes get the money at rosesandcigarettes.com. So please do that. All right, thanks for listening today. Buckle up. It's time to go inside the North Hollywood Hideout in Los Angeles, California for part 2 with the great Ted Russell Camp. And you are Front of House. Our guest in the studio here at the North Hollywood Hideout is Ted Russell Camp. Ted, you are Front of House.
And it's good to be back.
It's so good.
It's good to see you again. It's good to be back.
Just like old times. Let's hear another song, my man. I'm digging the vibe.
All right. So this is a song that's going to be on my next record.
Okay.
Which is going to be called Down in the Den. The Den is the name of my home studio. I live in Highland Park.
Nice.
And I've been doing a lot more producing and recording at home. About half of this record was recorded at home. The other half, we started in other studios and I finished at home. So this one's called Every Little Thing You Need. Every little thing you need, you know I got it. And every little thing you see under the sun. Every little bit of love and kissing is all that you've been missing. Every little thing you need, honey, I'm the one. And every little thing you say, you know I'm listening. And every little word I hear it loud and clear. I know it might be crazy, but ever since you called me baby, for every little sound it's music to my ears. Oh, for every little thing you need, oh, every little thing you need, every little thing, and oh, for every little thing you need, oh, every little thing you need, all you got to do is call me up and tell me about how every little wish you got to tell me. And every little hope I hope you understand. 'Cause you've been making my dreams come true. I gotta do the same thing for you. For every little thing you need, honey, I'm your man. To do is call me up and tell me about how every little wish you got to tell me. And every little hope I hope you understand. 'Cause you've been making my dreams come true. I gotta do the same thing for you. For every little thing you need, honey, I'm your man. You making my dreams come true. I gotta do the same thing for you. For every little thing you need, honey, I'm your man. I said I'm your man. I said I'm your man. Oh, oh. I said I'm your man.
Ted Russell, Campus Front of House. Ted, I love watching you play bass. Your mastery of that instrument.
Thank you.
It's fun to watch, man. You ever get that? Like a lot of times when you go to a show, or at least when I go to a show, I'll kind of focus on one person in the band at a time and just see that person's
done that
groove.
too, yeah.
And most of the time, the bass man's got the best groove. All the time. And I do love watching you on stage and just watching you play, because you got that soul and it just shines
Thank you
through
very
with
much.
every little lick. Real nice. So you mentioned before that now you're, well, not now, but for quite a while, you've been teaching songwriting at Musicians Institute. I've always known songwriting could be taught. I always known that there was a science to it, but I never really kind of did the math on my own. What's the first thing you'll tell a new class in your songwriting class? What's the first thing you'll tell them about songwriting?
Well, one of the things I've read a lot about songwriting, and I've studied a lot of great songs. But one of the things I'll say is a good song is about one thing. And you need to figure out what that thing is and how to say it best.
Okay.
There's one student who had a song and the chorus was good, but the first verse sounded like he was falling in love with this girl and it was wonderful. And then the chorus supported it. And then the second verse was they're breaking up. And then the chorus was the same chorus, which made it sound like everything was wonderful. And so I said, so what is this song about? Is it about how beautiful love is? Is it about the arc of the whole relationship? Because if you're going to do that, then you have to change a couple lines in the chorus so that it can be maybe more ambiguous and capture both feelings with the same words. Or change a few words so that the relationship can end, and then you can get some kind of wisdom from your experience after the fact, as you're looking back on this relationship that began and then was beautiful and then ended.
Sure.
And I was like, what is this song? Which one of those is it? Because it's just kind of confusing right now. If I'm listening to your words, you're contradicting yourself. Is it beautiful or is it painful? Are you lonely? Or is it life affirming, And he was like, wow, I don't know. And one of the things that many young songwriters do is the first words you write down they just have to be right. They just have, well, that's what it is. It's done. And it's like, well, every once in a while a great song happens really quickly.
Sure.
But most of the time, great songs, great literature, great movies, it happens with editing. You have to figure out the best way to make it, the best way to tell whatever the story is. And I was like, it sounds to, and the more we talked about the song, me and the student in the class, I was like, it sounds like you should have two songs. One is about the beauty of this relationship and how it makes you whole and you look into her eyes and you feel this way. And the other song can be about, yeah, but now it's different and I'm a better person because of it. Sounds like and it's like, yeah, but this, I was like, it sounds like this should be two songs and you shouldn't be afraid to let go just because those are the first words you wrote within a 10-minute period,
right,
a month and a half ago. If you want it to be, if you want the song to mean more to more people, then consider editing it.
Right. Never be afraid of editing yourself. Yeah.
There's because we've all had all those feelings, and one of the great things about writing a song, or trying to write a song when you're going to perform it for other people. It's like if you want to just perform it on your couch and do it for yourself for your own cathartic reasons, then that's great. You can say whatever you want, and you don't have to complete sentences, and it can just be random and emotional, and these images that maybe don't mean anything to anybody else, but mean a lot to you, and that's great. But the second you want to play it for people and and hope someone will be moved by it, and then, you were making a joke about the commerce in music. The second you hope someone will actually like it enough and be moved by it that they're going to want to pay $10 or $20 to see you play the song live, or even pay 99 cents to experience the song again and again and again.
Right.
Then it's your job to translate the feeling into something that they're going to dig or understand or appreciate.
How has teaching songwriting affected your songwriting over the past few years?
One of the coolest things about it, I think, is when you have to explain it, you learn it better.
Okay.
When you have to explain anything, these rules and these ideas that you just kind of felt or did instinctively, you start to put words to them to make them clear ideas to someone who maybe has done it less than you have, or done it with a different perspective than you have. And when you start putting it into words, you're like, oh yeah, like I never thought about songwriting in terms of it has to be one thing. There's one great thing that is the core idea of every song.
Right.
Or of every great song. The Long and Winding Road. Let It Be. You know what I mean? A Boy Named Sue. Folsom Prison Blues. They're very specifically the feeling of a train taking you away. Mm-hmm. Fire and Rain. This internal feeling that's echoed by nature and what I'm feeling. That's the intensity of my feelings. Every verse, every bridge line, every lyric has to somehow point back to that central thing. I never really thought about that until I kind of said it in class one day, and I was like, yeah, I believe that. Yeah. I believe that. You need to distill your, there's a famous thing, the song Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen.
Yeah.
It's like one of the great songs written in the English language, and I think he wrote 68 verses to that song to choose the best 6, or to whittle it down to the best 6. That's an incredible amount of focus and editing to have a song say exactly what you want it to say, to have it build just that way. And every time he gets to the phrase hallelujah, it means something different, and it comes from a different place, and it gets deeper with every verse. It's like, well, okay, I've never written 68 verses to a song. I was telling you about the Highway Whisper song. Like I probably wrote 3 or 4 extra verses, and then 3 or 4 extra couplets that was not in either one of those verses that almost made it into one of the verses that ended up in the song. And it's like, you want to really get into the beauty of a song, it has this cumulative energy. And you can start with an image, or start with a time or a place, or start with a feeling, and then it has to mean something. And with every couple lines, it should mean more. And every time you get back to that chorus, it should mean more. So that when you're done with it, you go, oh, yep. And it doesn't have to be like, what's a great example of a song that's not the most poetic thing in the world, but it's a Signed, Sealed, Delivered, I'm Yours. It captures the mood. Each little couplet sets you up for Signed, Sealed, Delivered, I'm Yours.
Right.
I love you, baby. That's what it's about the positivity and that feeling of love and like giving yourself over to someone. Yeah. And it's like not the deepest and most poetic song any of us ever heard, but it's a magical, incredible song.
Well, my head immediately went to Grand Funk Railroad. We're an American band. It's about one thing.
Yeah, man.
And probably the most honest lyrics in rock and roll are, we're coming to your town. We're going to party you down.
We're going to party down.
But yeah, that's one thing, and it all comes back and supports that main refrain. Do you keep a notepad on you? Do you like all of a sudden maybe think of a cool line or something?
Yeah, totally.
So you got a book of all
Yeah.
these things and then go back to it sometimes and see how you can fit that into something you're currently writing?
Yeah, and every once in a while I'm writing with someone and we don't know what to write about. So we'll look through our ideas and see if any one of them is inspiring.
Yeah.
And that's often a good starting place. Yeah, like when I was writing in Nashville a lot, people would come up with a good idea and deliberately not finish it so that you could pull it out in a co-writing situation. Be like, oh, how about this for a great idea? Oh, yeah, I like that.
The business of songwriting.
Yeah.
Nashville.
Yeah. And sometimes some people will have just like dozens of these song ideas. You're like, well, that's a little too corny, or that's a little too this, or I don't feel it, or, No, but I've had moments when I pull out a song idea and people are like, yeah, great, let's do it. And sometimes, like I had a song called Just a Yesterday Away. And I brought it to this guy. I thought it was a great idea. And the guy was like, I don't really get it.
It's great imagery. I
I don't really get it. It's like, oh, it's a yesterday, and it's like, why don't it to be now? And you're not just, what I mean, it's if it was yesterday, but it's just a yesterday, like it was only yesterday, like you're just looking back, and it's, anyway. And I ended up writing the song on my own because it didn't mean anything to him. And I was like, but I still feel something for this. And it evolved into a great song on one of my records, even if it was not a great song that became a co-write, that someone else did.
Speaking of all of your records, I've had a few of them in my truck over the past few years, and your albums are great on road trips.
Thank you.
I love having Ted Russell Camp on the deck.
Well, it's like I have a singer-songwriter storytelling side to me, but I've also been a bass player forever. Mm-hmm. And so the groove and the mood of the music itself, separate from whatever the lyrics are, is very important to me. And so there's a certain amount of booty shaking and movement and momentum that I want to have in my music. That even many of the ballads, I want them to have this forward push to them. You know what I mean? So yeah, like it's not like I set out to write good driving music, but that's a big part of it. Like that, on my first few records, I really tried to kind of convince myself in the world that I'm a songwriter now. I should And then after a while, I was like, the bass playing is really a deep part of me, and the way I feel music is part of that. And so I should play bass in my band. I shouldn't play guitar in my band. And the combination of the bass and how the music rolls with the storytelling, with my voice, that's all part of it that works together.
Right. It works well. This new record, Walking Shoes from Ted Russell Camp. It's fantastic. I highly recommend you pick it up, my friends. So grab it. Is this your 11th record? What is this?
Yes, it is.
Wow.
Yeah, I try to do an album every year or two.
Okay.
And I have been for quite a while. So it's nice.
Congratulations.
It's nice to look back on this catalog of, like I remember putting out my first record and be like, wow, well, I guess my set is my entire album. Because that's all the songs I had, you know? And then when you start putting out other records, then you can kind of be selective and choose the best. Like I just did my CD release party in LA, in Hollywood at the Hotel Cafe. Great venue, great place. And I did 5 new songs and 5 old. So it was great. I could choose my favorite ones that fit the energy of the set from the new record, and then I chose kind of my favorite ones that are kind of like the crowd favorites that you could bring people in and jam to and whatever else. So it was it's nice to have spent a lot of time trying to make music I like, so that when it comes time to play live, I have a lot of choices. Depending on the audience or depending on the set or the time of the night or who the other acts on the bill are, I can really kind of make the set fit the evening as a whole, but also be myself at the same time.
Well, that's the gift, isn't it? It's being able to enjoy what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
Play, and there's a lot of musicians out there who, God bless them, studio musicians and otherwise touring musicians who aren't in the band they want to be in.
Yeah, I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that. I decided, let's say I was probably in LA about 2 or 3 years, and I was auditioning for kind of every band, and there was one main guy who would put together these large auditions for famous bands and famous acts. And if you got on, and it was a big deal to get into his Rolodex.
Okay.
And then he would call and be like, oh, I got this band, and da-da-da-da-da-da. You got to learn 3 songs, and you show up at this rehearsal studio in Hollywood, and there would be like 11 bass players in a row. Each one has a 20-minute audition. And then the next day would be 11 keyboard players in a row, and each one had a 20. And then the next day would be 12 guitarists in a row. And so that's how Justin Timberlake would put together a band.
Right.
And that's how, One Direction would put together a band.
Sure.
And I did that. I did probably a handful of those auditions. And as I got more into music, I just realized I have to play music I like. I have to relate to what I'm doing. There are other people I know and other musicians who are very happy when they're like, they don't care if they're whatever the genre, if it's a big gig and they're treated well and it's a 5-star hotel and they're making good money and they get free drums or keyboards or whatever it is from the companies they're working with because it's high profile stuff. That's what's more important to them, and that's okay. Right. But I realize that won't make me happy.
Well, isn't it a lovely crossroads when you play the music you like and you also play the music I like? Ted Russell Campus, front of house. Let's hear another song, my brother.
All right. What do we got now? Did I do a song called Boom Boom last time I saw you?
No, you did not.
Then I will do it now.
All right.
So I did a whole album of almost entirely bass and vocals a couple years ago. It's called The Low and Lonesome Sound.
Great record.
And this one, I originally wrote it with a woman named Funky Jennifer Givens. Great friend of mine, lives in Hollywood, and I produced an EP for her and then a Christmas EP as well. So we wrote this one together. It's called Boom Boom. You got my heart, you got my soul, you got my body till I grow old. You got me spinning around and around. Said I'm going up, I'm going in, and I'm going down. So come a little bit closer, I'm gonna give you the goods. I said whatever you wish for, you know it's understood. 'Cause I am yours now, and yours alone. Hang up your coat, hang up your keys, and hang up the phone. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Just me and you, the things we'll do. Boom, 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 boom. I said, baby, you move me, you're never away. You know that I wanna feel you till the break of day. You know you keep me wanting. You're more and more. Let's hit the bed, let's hit the red, let's hit the floor. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Just me and you, the things we'll do. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Just me and you, the things we'll do. Boom, 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 boom. let's do it all over again and again. You know you give me the strength, girl, of 1,000 men. But you only need a one deal, that much is true. So come on in, come on down, 'cause I want you. I said, come on in, yeah, come on down, 'cause I want you. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Just me and you, the things we'll do. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Just me and you, the things we'll do. Boom, 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 boom. Just me and you, the things we'll do. Boom, 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 boom.
Ted Russell Camp is front of house. That's from the Low and Lonesome Sound that's on there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be on the next record, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
it's definitely on the Low and Lonesome Sound.
I like that. There's always something about hearing a song. Sometimes it reminds you of another one, and there's that sense of familiarity that you get, and you think, oh, maybe that's why I like it. In that case, there's a little reminiscent of the John Lee Hooker, but it's not.
Totally.
It's teasing it. It's enticing it. It's bringing it out. It's not ripping it off.
Well, actually, that was the funny thing is when Funky Jen started writing that song, and it was actually called Boom Boom Boom, and it was like a blues that was exactly like, it was frightfully similar to the John Lee Hooker song.
Okay.
And I was like, it's wonderful, and she's like, no, it's an homage.
It's different.
I'm like, no, it's theft.
Right.
So yeah, we were joking. We were close enough friends at that point that we could say that to each other. I was like, it's a little too close. Mm-hmm. I was like, but how about this? And I wrote that. I rewrote it as this kind of funk rock groove.
Sure.
And then I changed the chord progression, so it wasn't a regular blues, but it was like classic 12-bar blues. And I kind of reworked the lyrics so it would fit that new form. And I was like, now it's an homage.
Now it's an
now
homage.
Now that some people will just know, okay, boom, 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 it's fun. But some people will be like, oh yeah, he's playing with the John Lee Hooker song and making it something different. So now it's a unique new thing. And you know what I mean? I don't want to, I love it. I'm such a fan of music that I like it when I get to see a band and they are like, oh, that's this kind of Talking Heads kind of thing. I dig that part. Or this is like television, or this is like a John Lee Hooker, or that's a jazz progression that they've reworked to be this pop song. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's one of the things that's charming about some of like the more piano-y Paul McCartney stuff, is you can feel the old jazz songs he's kind of trying to make his own and do something new with.
Yeah, right now I have Let Him In my head right now.
Well, yeah, like, and so when I'll do something like that, like, it's okay if you figure out that I'm a John Lee Hooker fan.
Sure.
And I don't have to do a John Lee Hooker cover to let you know.
Right.
And so it's like, that's cool. I like that. That's part of this kind of long lineage of American music and roots music as it's coming into 2019, you know? And so I like being a part of that tradition. And it's cool that you say that. So great.
It's fantastic, and it's not what I would call derivative at all.
Good.
You know,
well, that's the goal.
Yeah, and it's definitely an homage.
Yeah,
it brings something up, but then it's like, but it's not that. But there's that in there, but it's not that.
Yeah. Good.
That's killer. So if someone listening to this show right now is like, shit, dude, I want to take a songwriting class with Ted Russell Camp. You gotta get accepted into Music Institute, right? You
do. It's a university.
Yeah.
So they have 1 year programs and 2 year programs and 4 years, and some people just show up for a quarter.
So you just can't jump in and say, I want to take a songwriting class with Ted.
You could find me on Facebook.
There you go.
And we could talk about it.
There we go.
I've definitely done one-on-one songwriting things with people. where we'll write songs together, and then I'll bring in the history and talk about stuff, you know. One of my favorite things to do with songwriting is, especially with younger or newer songwriters, is they'll show up with an idea, and I'll be like, hey, this reminds me of this other thing. You should check out this Paul Simon song, or this Chris Christopherson song, or this Jimmy Webb song. And you'll see how you're onto the same thing.
Yeah.
Now look how Chris Christopherson did it. And, you know, it evolved into Me and Bobby McGee, or evolved into, you know, one of his great songs, Darby's Castle. And then that will hopefully give them some more ammunition or some more information.
Right.
And hopefully some more inspiration to do whatever they're going to do next. You know, because, you know, like anything, if you want to, very rarely you find someone who is so great and so instinctive when they're real young that they just kind of come out of the gate and it's just like mind-blowing art. You know what I mean? Usually you have to learn about it and get informed. And then you do something creative. You know, Kurt Cobain is a great example, because he could play almost any Beatles song ever written. And he deliberately didn't want to sound like the Beatles. He deliberately came up with these cool, more dissonant chord progressions. But it was still pop music for the most part. They were still pop song forms. Mm-hmm. And verses and choruses and things that were very inspired by the history of pop music. But he then channeled his own feelings and the anger and confusion he was feeling with these darker chord progressions, and it changed music in America.
Changed music, yeah.
Maybe in the world. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he didn't just show up and making it up when he was 12. Like, he studied a lot. And, like, you know, a lot of people or a lot of fans might not talk about that, but that wasn't accidental.
You've kind of touched on the answer to this in many ways throughout this interview, but who are some of the people that you tell your classes, to learn about songwriting, study these people? Who do you say to study?
Oh, wow. One of the cool things about MI is they're 10-week quarters. Mm-hmm. So some classes I'll do a different writer for every week. So I'll have a Bob Dylan week. I might have a Chris Christopherson week. I might have a Guy Clark week. I'll have a Cole Porter week. I might have a Willie Dixon week. I might have a Hank Williams week. Harlan Howard is more of a classic country songwriter who's unbelievably heavy. And it's kind of every time I do that class, I'll do some different ones. You know what I mean? You could do Carole King easily. You could do Joni Mitchell. You could do Neil Young. I love Jackson Browne. Jackson Browne was one of the first shows that I went to spending my own money. When I was in high school, I saw Jackson Browne at Radio City Music Hall.
Oh, shit.
And that was a pretty mind-blowing evening.
Was that the Running on Empty tour?
It was after that, but I remember they still had that great movie of the road kind of going behind them on some of the songs. I saw them. Oh, this was later. This was the late 80s or something.
Okay.
But Running on Empty became, it's still one of my favorite albums of all time. But yeah, you could do Alan Toussaint. There are so many great songwriters that have a different angle. You could do Randy Newman. You could do Nielsen. You could, I'm kind of leaning more towards the 60s and 70s. Mm-hmm. Paul Williams is another guy who I've kind of really gotten into recently. But getting into the language of it, and then the individual quirks that each of these artists have, or many of them. Bob Dylan's a great example. He's had so many phases and styles of songwriting in his career, that you could almost just take an album and do an album a week. And get into this style on this album, and this style on the next album, and this style on 3 albums later.
Sure.
Sometimes there's a thing called serial songwriting. Now mostly we have verses and choruses. And often you'll have verse, chorus, or in a bridge. You know what I mean? But serial songwriting is where it's the same song or it's the same melody over and over and over and over. And a lot of like older like folk music from the British Isles and the troubadour, classic troubadour songs will be the same chords and same melody over and over and over. So a lot of these old Irish songs are like that. Bob Dylan did a lot of that early on in his career. There's a killer Townes Van Zandt song called Tecumseh Valley that's that way. And so sometimes instead of doing a different artist every week, I'll do a different approach to songwriting every week. And so I'll do like the serial thing where you know, and often like something with a lot of those traditional ballads is you'll start with the beginning of the story and then you'll tell the whole story, and it's kind of the rise and fall of this person. And then when they die, they repeat the first verse again. And you recall when they were young and idealistic or at the beginning of life. And it brings you back to the whole life cycle. And it's like a lot of blues does that too. The Allman Brothers did that a lot when they would do blues tunes. They do the first verse at the end. So from a pop perspective, it would feel like a chorus because it kind of brought you back home.
Right.
But in terms of subject matter, it helps it go full circle.
Full circle.
Sometimes I'll do verse chorus. Sometimes I'll do a thing where like it's a classic thing in soul music where the feel for the verse is the same as the feel for the chorus.
Yeah, big time.
With this kind of pre-chorus, different thing in the middle, but you come back to the beginning, and that's the hook. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Prince did that a lot. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'll do a class where we're just going to study rhyme scheme today. So I'll get out 3 or 4 songs that have different rhyme schemes and how that can be predictable or make you yearn, or when you leave the predictability of a rhyme scheme, it makes you yearn for the rhyme. And then that rhyme is really like the exclamation point. So I'll do different, sometimes I'll do imagery for a day, whatever. It's pretty cool because there's a lot of freedom in the class. So as long as I kind of plan it at the beginning and set up different subjects for each time, I kind of make it this cumulative thing. So that as the quarter goes on, you can then come back and be like, oh, wow. Oh, my God. And every once in a while, I'll bring the same song back a month later. Be like, okay, well, you thought this song was great last month. Now we'll study it from this other angle and you'll get it, you know. And a lot of, it's helpful, you know, like, because oftentimes I'll start and we're like, okay, we're going to talk about this song for the next 45 minutes. And the entire class goes, no, man, this is going to be boring as hell. And I was like, no, trust me. This song is that good. And one of the reasons it's moved you when you heard it, when you saw it on YouTube or wherever, is that it's substantive. Now let's get into it. Okay, well, now we're going to look at it from this angle. Now we're going to look at it from this angle. And then we're going to check this out and this story and da-da-da-da. And then we're going to look at it from the dynamics of the performance. And they go, oh, my God, I had no idea that getting into this one little thing that deeply could be that satisfying. Because it's, you know, we're in a time now where so much new information is coming at us all the time. And you have access to lots of free music. You don't need to listen to the same thing over and over. You can be like, oh, that's fine. I like that. What's next? Like you can get in these stream of consciousness YouTube experiences where you just kind of go and you keep going and you keep going and you never go back to the one you just listened to.
Right.
When it's like,
Down
okay, if you can choose a great song and listen to it 5 times in a row and have it be a deeper experience each time.
Are there any rhymes that you tell your students are lazy that you should shy away from? I was laughing earlier when we were talking about girl and world.
Yeah, and pearl. But every once in a while, you can turn that around and make it brilliant.
Sure.
You know, like any cliche, the reason it's a cliche is because sometimes it's really powerful. You know? So, yeah, there are definitely some. Mm-hmm. There are some, or sometimes we'll be writing a song together in class. Or I'll be writing with someone and they set up a really good line. I'm like, okay, that's really rough because the only thing that's going to rhyme with that is da-da-da-da-da-da. We're kind of like, unless we get really creative now, we're dead in the water. So let's change the rhyme, you know.
I hit a landmark point in my songwriting a few months ago. I rhymed orange and storage.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah.
You know, because quite famously, nothing rhymes with orange.
Right, exactly. I was like, I found something. I got it.
Porridge.
And then, but how do you put that in a song? You
It's
just
rough.
find
It's
it.
rough.
Yeah,
It's rough.
You can get there, though.
We could go to the Renaissance Fair, write a good song about porridge.
Sure, exactly.
But, you know.
Ted Russell Camp is our guest. The new record is called Walkin' Shoes. Ted, I'd love to hear another song if you got something.
All right, hey, let me switch to guitar.
Let's do it.
If I had a dime for every line on my face, I'd buy around for every single fool in this place. And I'd give you my 2 cents, tell you all that I've been through. You could take it, you could leave it, you could tell me what to do. But I'd take my time, and I'd go in style, if I only got paid by the mile. If I had a nickel for every song I tried to write, I could have checked you every underdog who stayed in the fight. Cause the one thing that I know is I'm still hungry every night. You ain't done till it's over, you ain't told but till it's right. But I'll take my time, and I'd go in style, if I only got paid by the mile. For every night, in every show, and every tree that comes and goes, through every trouble, I just smile. If I only got paid by the mile, if I only got paid by the mile. If I had a silver dollar for every time I had to grease each fool I met, each drop of sweat, and each missing puzzle piece, but I'd give it to the working man who's living day to day. But when you're in this one together, you got to stop and say, I'll take my time, and I'd go in style, if I only got paid by the mile. I'd take my time, and I'd go in style, if I only got paid by the mile. I'd take my time, and I'd go in style, if I only got paid by the mile. If I only got paid by the mile. If I only got paid by the mile.
Ted Russell Campus, front of house. That's a great song, and it got me really focused on what you were saying earlier about songwriting is about one thing.
Yeah.
And you can easily find that one thing there. The experience is much more than the paycheck.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
A lot of miles beneath these wheels.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic, man. That's a great song.
Thank you. And actually, Sirius XM has been playing that one a lot.
Well, fantastic.
Yeah.
Is that on the Outlaw Country station?
On the Outlaw
Channel?
Country Station.
Yeah.
I wrote that song about a year ago with Sam Morrow, who's a good buddy of mine, who actually, and I played bass on his record. And that song was on his last album and did very well. And now it's on my record too. So it's nice that it's nice when your camaraderie with someone can get out into the world through your songs. You know?
And you can double dip on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice.
You release it, then I'll release it later. I like that. So Ted Russell Camp, new album called Walking Shoes. It's available now. I recommend you pick it up. I did check online. You're going to be with Duff McKagan in Los Angeles at the El Rey Theater on the 13th of June.
Yeah.
So we'll be the 13th, and we'll definitely
Oh, it
see
is the
you out there.
13th.
It is the 13th.
Thank you for checking.
And I'm excited about that show, man. I actually, honestly, have not been to the El Rey, and I feel ashamed for this, but I've not been at the El Rey since that Shooter show.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice that we're the only ones that bring you back.
Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah, it's perfect. What, Shooter's playing there? Yeah, all right, I'll be there. No, that's fantastic, man. That's going to be a fun show. Producing in a studio in your own house. Let's talk about this. First of all, I guess my big question is, how separate from your living quarters is the studio?
Well, you know the old story of like how Yoko would set the bed up in the studio? Well, that's what I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually bring my bed. No, I'm joking. No, we converted our garage into the studio. And so it's nice and soundproofed, and I really wanted to look good. Not unlike this. Like, I really wanted to look good and feel homey and artistic so that it doesn't feel like you're walking into someone's garage.
Sure.
You know, like we've all, maybe not all of us listening, but many musicians, like you've had the jam space in someone's garage with the weird space heater.
And most of the time,
the
it's a
electricity's
garage.
funky, and it's not it's not a comfortable place to be. You're going to make music, and then you go out and you do other things. Right. And I really wanted the studio to feel cool and inviting, so that you'd want to be there for many hours. You know what I mean? But the way where our house is, it's kind of built on a hill, so the actual house looks like the second floor from the street. Gotcha. So the ground level is this large 2-car garage, and then you have to walk up steps to get to the front door where the rest of the house. It's really a 1-story house, but it's up above the garage. So I rebuilt. It was actually pretty great. There's a super wonderful singer-songwriter I worked with named Dave Tucker, who was a carpenter, was his day gig. So we did an exchange. I was like, hey, if you build me the studio, I will produce your record for free. So we did it on trade, which is pretty wonderful.
Yeah.
But it's a great space. I had another friend of mine, actually Kyle, who I mentioned before, did the sound design and set it up. He was like, oh, you need to put a bass trap here, and this insulation should go here, and da-da-da. We'll put a vent here, and all that stuff. So it's really great because we can go upstairs and have lunch, and we can go and take a break and have a home. Mm-hmm. You know, with like a kitchen and amenities and a bathroom and stuff. But the studio, it really is a separate place. And it's also really changed my life a lot. There was, let's say maybe 5 or 6 years ago, 3 different people asked me to produce their album. And of course, they're cool local or regional bands that don't have a ton of money. So I did the math, and I was like, okay, well, if we pay a good studio for this rate, and da-da-da-da-da, and then I was like, then we're gonna make a great record for $7,000, and I won't get a dime.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I need to figure out how to do this. So then my friend Dave and we showed up in each other's lives, and then we did that. And so now it's been great. I've probably produced 4 or 5 of my albums and maybe 10 or 12 records for other people. And that's separate from just other different songwriting sessions and different recording sessions that didn't evolve into records or EPs or anything. So it's been wonderful. I work at it's great to be able to tour and then come home and actually be home and work from 11 to 6 and then go upstairs and have dinner with my family.
Sure.
Before the studio, I would try to book other studio sessions at other places. And then I'd be gigging most nights of the week, So I'm on a different sleep schedule and different eating schedule, and I'm never around, and So it's been a wonderful thing for the creative side, and producing. I think it's really inspiring. I love helping. I love using my instincts to help someone else be a better version of themselves.
Sure.
You know,
Nice.
because often, like, and you're a creative person too. You know, it's hard. It's really hard to get. It's really hard to get out of your own head and think objectively. You know, and think, well, what do I do best? What, you know, like someone will show up with 20 songs, and they're like, I love them all. I don't know which are the good ones. And then I can say, okay, well, how about this one, and I relate to this one immediately, and this one is. These two are really similar. So let's not have both of them on the record. Or if you really want both of them, then let's rewrite one to be a unique thing, or do it faster or slower, or change the key or whatever. You know, let's accentuate the many sides of your personality and the many sides of your loves of music with songs to match them all, so that we have a 10 or 12 song record that's an eclectic, deep experience. It's not just the old, like, let's get the one or two best songs first and second, and then the rest is filler, or the rest can all sound the same, you know? So making records is really fun and inspiring, and I often become good friends with the people I'm working with, and
Sure.
you know, some become real lifelong friends.
Well, again, like we were talking about, being able to play the music that you like, you probably have a lot of freedom in working with the artists that you like and that you believe in, that you can be in a room and listen to these same 10 or 13 songs hundreds of times.
Yeah.
And still be loving every minute of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And give my put in my 2 cents. It's a pretty sacred thing when someone says, I like your music enough and your work ethic enough and your personality enough that I want you to help me make my music better. Or I want you to help me document my music.
Right.
You know, like, I don't want to make, when I'm producing someone, I don't want to make another Ted Russell Camp album with them singing. I don't want to rewrite all their songs for them and tell them what their band should play. Right. I want to help them be the best version of them.
Well, now it's going to sound contrived when I ask Ted Russell Camp to produce my band's next record, but whatever.
Well, if the idea was spawned right here, that's pretty cool.
It's been on my mind for some time.
No, I'd love to. We'd have a great time.
We would have a great time.
We'd have a great time, and we'd make some great music.
I would love to work with you, but we can talk about that at another time. I'm real proud of you, man. I'm proud to know you. I'm happy to call you friend.
Thank you. You too.
And I'm grateful that you're here today playing music for us. Again, friends, the new record is called Walking Shoes, but I encourage you to check out all of Ted Russell Camp's releases at the website, tedrussellcamp.com. Again, camp spelled with a K. Ted, we got time for one more. What are you going to take us home with?
This one is called Home Away from Home. I wrote this in Holland.
On the road.
I was on tour in Holland. Do you know Pi Jacobs?
No.
She's a great woman and a good friend and a wonderful singer-songwriter, and we were doing a tour together. Most of the time when I've toured in Europe, I do it alone. I get a plane ticket, I rent a car, I drive around and do gigs, you know. And this time I did it with Pi, and so it was pretty great. She had a bunch of gigs in Germany, and I had relationships and other gigs in other places. So we kind of backed each other up and did songs together, and then when we got to Holland, we got to this great little town called Vlaardingen.
Say that again?
Vlaardingen.
Vlaardingen. Okay.
Depending on the accent.
Okay.
But it's Vlaar. When you have two A's in Dutch, it's a ah. It's a vowel that we don't have in English.
Okay.
So it's hard to learn. I still probably don't have it right. Anyway, so I'm staying with a friend in Vlaardingen, and there are these two brothers who are the Speck brothers. And Speck means bacon in Dutch. So the joke is that the Dutch Bacon Brothers. Okay. So I had done a bunch of shows with them over the years, and we wrote a song together on my previous tour. And so the idea was we're gonna like hang out and try to write a song and jam for the afternoon and then go to the gig. So we get together, and I'm just so happy to be back in this great little town with these friends. And Yolanda is a great woman. She's a great friend of mine, and she books shows and then I'll crash at her house for a couple nights, and she's friends with all these great singer-songwriters and different promoters in the Netherlands and radio people. So she's been a real friend in the Netherlands and has helped connect me to lots of other musicians and venues and stuff. So she's there. The Speck Brothers are there. My old friend Pi is there. And I'm like, we got to write it. We're going to start jamming on a song. And then one of the brothers comes in with this kind of blues, like dobro thing. He's a great dobro player. And I'm like, we've got to write a song called Home Away from Home. Because that's exactly how I feel right now. And I'm getting really sentimental.
Nice.
So we wrote this song. I think I tweaked a few of the lyrics later. But this is pretty much, we wrote this one all together in a couple hours.
In an afternoon.
Yeah.
In a couple hours.
Yeah. Now I can't catch a flight, I could rent a car. But when I hit the highway, I know it won't be far. Where I see familiar faces somewhere along that road. Every place I go is a home away from home. It might be one more time, zone, one more time. One more year before I'm back around. It might be 1,000 miles, but it's never far to roam. Every place I go is a home away from home. Yeah. Well, I could have played it safe, I could have stayed in bed, but I would stop and stay at home on rest when I'm dead. I didn't come here for the money, I didn't come here for the fame. I just hope it makes you smile every time you hear my name. Come on. Well, they speak different tongues, they got different foods. When we're breaking bread, it all tastes so damn good. It might be 1,000 miles, but it never far to roll. Every place I go is a home away from home. Hey, I could have played it safe, I could have stayed in bed, but I would stop and stay at home, I'll rest when I'm dead. I didn't come here for the money, I didn't come here for renown. I just hope it makes you smile every time I'm back in town. When I wake up, I have coffee in bed, and I see my walking shoes, and the music fills my head, and I grab my trusted suitcase and feel it in my bones. Every place I go is a home away from home. I said that every place I go is a home away from home. I go is a home away from home.
Hallelujah. Ted Russell Camp, front of house. The new record is called Walking Shoes. That song leads it off. I also encourage you to check out the video on YouTube. You shot a really cool video for that song where it's just all almost selfies on the iPhone.
Yeah, it's mostly
And
selfies
shot
on
the
this tour in Europe.
Yeah.
Not the one when I wrote the song. This
Right,
is the
right,
year
right.
after I wrote the song.
Right.
But the CD release party of this, the CD release tour of this album.
Right.
So I'm like the fjords of Sweden and
Yeah.
Notre Dame and the canals in Amsterdam and where else? It was fun.
A lot of airports.
Oh, and I also went
of
to
hotel rooms.
in Paris. Serge Gainsbourg is another great songwriter. So he's got a great house in the middle of Paris with like tons of weird graffiti. So I did some shots in front of Serge Gainsbourg's house. I was kind of excited about that.
Oh, that's cool. I'm going to
There's a
check it
little
out
music
again.
geek moment in the middle of a fun video.
That song called Home Away from Home. Check it out from the new record, Walk-In Shoes. A record that features a couple of front of house alumnus, Jamie Wyatt and Brian Whelan.
Love Brian.
Also on this record. Yeah, Brian's a great guy.
Yeah, Brian's a great guy.
Yeah. All right. Well, Ted Russell Camp. Again, the website, tedrussellcamp.com. Ted, it's been a thin slice of heaven, my friend. You know
Oh, my
what?
pleasure.
It's been a thick slice of heaven.
Oh, yeah.
I love this. Again, Ted Russell Camp, front of house, the new record, Walk-In Shoes. Highly recommend you pick that bad boy up. Play it loud and proud, my friends. Big thanks to Ted Russell Camp for joining us here in the North Hollywood Hideout for Front of House. Now, tomorrow night, we're going to go live on YouTube for Front of House Live. Every Tuesday after we finish the entire broadcast of the show, they're split into two parts. Every Tuesday after the entire show is released, you get to watch the whole thing on video at youtube.com/FOH space POD. Follow us on Twitter at FOH Pod and you'll get the link. But Tuesday night, this Tuesday, which will be July 23rd, I believe, at 6 p.m. Pacific time, we're going to go live here in the North Hollywood Hideout. We may have some in-studio guests. We'll definitely be reading from the Big Book of Rock, and then we'll watch the video. You can watch all of this as it unfolded in the North Hollywood Hideout on Front of House Live. Make sure you visit Ted Russell Camp on his website, Ted Russell Camp spelled with a K.com. Check out his new album, Walk-In Shoes, and all his entire discography. Talk about a prolific songwriter. My man, Ted Russell Camp, has got it going on. Again, tedrussellcamp.com. And at this moment, I would like to share a good piece of news that I've been holding on to for a few weeks. You may have caught wind of it during these past two episodes of Front of House. But I did, in fact, ask Ted Russell Camp if he would produce the Smokin' Kills record. And he said, hell yeah, my brother. We go into the studio on August 11th, I believe, will be our first day in the studio, doing rehearsals up until then. And we demoed out a few of our songs for Ted to critique and make a little better and arrange a little bit better. We demoed a bunch of these songs out. In fact, when we played the Carolla Family Barbecue at Adams Warehouse on June 22nd, I had to do sound for the whole thing. Thanks to JBL, by the way, for providing the front of house array. But I tracked everything that was mic'd up and mixed it so that we could go through and listen and have good references of our songs before we go into the studio. And today, your bonus track on Front of House is a brand new song from the Smokin' Kills. Now, this is my band. I promise not to play too much at all of my band on my podcast, but I know some of you are interested. So I'm going to give you one of the tracks from our forthcoming record. This was recorded live at Adam Carolla's Car Warehouse, and it's just a demo, just a live track. And it's just a little taste of what you can expect. Hopefully by next spring, we'll have a new album out. Crank it up. It's in stereo. It's Front of House. This is the Smokin' Kills. The song, Suicide Tuesday.
Every day the same,
wake up to her name and pray that she's okay. I'm coming home one day, so I get high on Friday, stay there for 3 days. But then Monday came and Suicide Tuesday. I'm remembering an innocent beginning. She loved the songs I played and heard what I was singing. And it's something different when someone's listening. Suicide Tuesday. Suicide Tuesday. Suicide Tuesday. Suicide. Better go right now, 'cause if I see your face I might ask you to stick around. And I'll get high on Friday, stay for 3 more days. Suicide Tuesday. Suicide Tuesday. Suicide Tuesday. Suicide. AJ Benza, everybody. Thinking back, if I'd have known where we were going to spare us both the pain, hell, I'll go anyway. Suicide Tuesday. Suicide Tuesday. Suicide Tuesday. Suicide. Put your hands together for my band. Yeah, those guys make me sound good. Kevin Fosmark on guitar, Tyler Kershaw plays the drums. That was Ben Eisen on bass, and of course, myself up front. My name is Mike Dawson, and shout out to AJ Benza, who walked in front of the stage. During the breakdown of that song. AJ Benza, fame's a bitch. Check it out on Podcast One. It has been a serious pleasure hanging out with you today. Every single Monday is a Music Monday, a brand new episode of Front of House. Please subscribe to the podcast on whatever format you listen to podcasts with, and share it with a friend. We're not nearly big enough yet. We need about 1 million listeners, so if you could just tell a friend about the podcast, I would greatly appreciate it. If you sign up as a fan at patreon.com/front of house for only $3 a month, you get at least 4 MP3s. And as I said, this week is a bonus week. There will be 2 MP3s from Ted Russell Camp in your inbox if you are already a supporter. Next week, we got more stereo goodness. Front of House returns on Monday, live from the North Hollywood Hideout in Los Angeles, California. Rock and roll, my brothers and sisters. This is Front of House.